Michael Bisping reacts to Alex Pereira's former opponent in kickboxing, with whom Poatan had 2 fights in glory, losing the last one, calling out the UFC middleweight champion, and expressing desire to compete in the UFC. In a recent interview, Vakitov said the following, quote, "Pereira is a superstar, and I am happy for him. His biggest weakness is that he is all attack, he has no defense. Because of his lack of defense, he is open to taking a lot of punches to the head if he's facing a skilled striker. You saw that in his second fight with Adesanya. He got caught because he leaves a lot of openings for people who know what they are doing. These other guys haven't done well against Alex because their striking isn't at a high enough level. They aren't confident against him, and they think he's unbeatable, so in their heart, they are already defeated before the fight starts. But I have beaten him before in pure striking competition, and I am sure I'll do it again if we can get our trilogy match in the UFC." Alex responded to this saying, quote, "Hey brother, be careful with the people that are giving you this idea. The same person that is advising you to do that has tried the same to me, and I didn't do because I'm not stupid. Everybody knows that when they gave you the win, it's because Glory knew that would be my last fight in the organization, and they didn't want me to leave with the belt." End quote. Former middleweight champion Michael Bisping shared thoughts on the possibility of a title fight between the 2 former kickboxing rivals. Quote, "Alex Pereira, his nemesis is coming. I'm talking about Artem Vakitov. He went 1-1 with Pereira in Glory, very close fights. He's now switched onto mixed martial arts. He's won 2 fights this year, and now I'm hearing that he'll be on Contender Series this summer. All he has to do is win a couple of fights. He wins a fight on the Contender Series, comes to the UFC, wins 2 or 3 fights, and then he will fight Alex Pereira." End quote. KAMARU Osman goes off on the idea that Nate Diaz could come back to the UFC and immediately get a title fight against Leon Edwards. Questions regarding Diaz's fighting future have been intensifying following his decision win over Jorge Masvidal in their recent boxing bout, and considering that Dana White and Nate himself have been complimentary and generally enthusiastic about working together again, the possibility of him fighting in the UFC is considerable. Whether it will be a title fight against Leon Edwards, however, who he mentioned after his win over Jorge, is a different discussion. KAMARU thinks it's insane of UFC to even considering to organize this. Quote, "You think, oh yes, I want to fight Leon Edwards, and he just jumps in and fights for the title? Come on, so you're saying that he should just definitely come in and get it, just because he has numbers?" He landed a sneaky punch after Leon beat the dog crap out of him. At the end of the day, he landed it. It was an incredible punch, but that doesn't warrant him a title shot. Get serious. Nate Diaz is completely on the tail end of his career. Yes, of course he's made a great name for himself, and big shout out to Nate for still having that notoriety to be able to go out there and still get paychecks like this, because he's getting all these good fights on the outside. But come on, to say Nate Diaz is going to come in and walk into fighting world-class fighters in the UFC right now, that's absurd. That's crazy. Nate Diaz can still fight, but he's not a world-class fighter. Are you crazy? Throw in Nate with Shavkat Rakhmonov. Throw Nate Diaz in there with myself. Throw him in there with JDM. Come on. If Jake Paul's offering you $50 million for fighting in MMA, I'm taking that. I think he actually wins a fight like that. I think he wins a fight against Jake Paul in MMA. His durability, his grappling skills win him that fight. End quote. Dustin Poirier doesn't appreciate Michael Chandler's remarks, talks the state of the lightweight division, and comments on changing his position about retiring and fighting again in the UFC. The former interim lightweight champion last fought in June when he lost to Islam on UFC 302. And he's since expressed desire to retire, but in a recent interview with Ariel Helwani, Poirier revealed he is interested in continuing his fighting career. Quote, "I'm on the fence, we'll see, but something has to make sense for me to do it, you know? Chandler saying no thanks, retire, we good. Come on, dude, who the fuck is we? You just got here, buddy. You're not one of us, you're not we. I've been here. Who's we? You got 1 win in the UFC. I've been cutting my teeth in the UFC since January 2011 or 2010, you know? He just got here. Who's we? He's just speaking for the lightweight division? Milkman Mike needs to chill. Islam is the champ, and he beat me. It's not like it has to be run back. We'll see what he does next. So yeah, Conor pulling out with a pinky toe? I fought with a lot of injuries over the years, but a pinky toe doesn't seem like a reason to pull out of a fight, you know? But I also don't know the severity of it. Like, did he damage ligaments or whatever? There's a lot of things going on inside of a foot, so I don't know. If it's just a pinky toe, I don't think that's a reason to pull out of a fight. End quote. Khamzat Chimaev reveals he is back, and his next fight will be against Colby Covington. Chimaev last fought on October 21st against KAMARU Usman, where he won by a majority decision. And since then, due to various reasons, including travel visa and health problems, hasn't competed in the UFC. Recently, news of him being heavily sick upset fans all over the world, as further delay of his activity in the UFC was seemingly evident. However, in an interview with a Russian source, Low Kick MMA, Khamzat revealed he's coming back with a banger. Quote, "The UFC told me it's Covington. They said it is certainly happening, so let's see. My desires for the fight? I'm hungry and I want to spill his blood. Just mauling and smashing. I will go out there and do what I do, and I will get another performance bonus. It will be fun." End quote. The Chechen welterweight contender didn't, however, mention specific dates or the location of the fight, but it is highly likely that due to certain legal problems for Chimaev, the bout will take place outside of the United States. Leon Edwards previews his fight against Belal Muhammad and talks possibly moving up to middleweight to compete for the title up a weight class. Edwards is set to defend his welterweight belt against Belal on UFC 304, July 27th. Speaking with TalkSport MMA, Rocky said, quote, "I feel like Manchester will be obviously all me, you know? He's coming to my territory and I'm defending my title in my country, you know? So I feel like it's going to be exactly the same as USMAN 3 at the O2 Arena. I feel like Belal is in for a shock, how the crowd is going to react, the pressure and how loud the UK fans are. So like I said, I'm excited to go out there and perform. I'm looking at it as a brand new fight, you know. I'm looking at him as a brand new opponent and not like we have fought before. He's went out there and made some improvements. Obviously, he hasn't lost a fight since that eye poke. So I gotta take it seriously, so me and my coaches are breaking it down and looking at what he's improved on and taking it from there. I'm confident in my skill set. I felt like I'm the much better fighter, and I'll show that July 27th. Also, I'd like to move up and challenge for the middleweight belt as well, you know? I have the size for it and the skill for it, so why not chase greatness? My main aim is to capture these UFC world titles, so when I retire, I can be like, look, that's what I got. I feel like I stopped Belal in the third round. I had a little feel of him in the first fight, and going into the second fight, I'm more confident, knowing how I felt in the clinch and other positions." End quote.